Hey San Diego, welcome back to the Apartment Geek Weekly. It's been a number of weeks off, and it's nice to be back. We're in the studio, finally people coming back into the office, and feel like business and life is slowly kind of going back to normal. So happy to be back, and today I'm going to do a snapshot of where we're at from the perspective of an apartment owner in San Diego, and how are things now given the COVID experience that we've all gone through, the whole world's gone through, and how does it look moving forward? I don't want to lay out any kind of crazy crystal ball or bold predictions, but I'm going to just give you my kind of attitude on the big picture, and hopefully there's some takeaways from it. So we're in June, middle of June, and it's, I remember I was in Joshua Tree in, I think it was March 12, when things seemed to really kind of hit the fan, and we went into this shelter at home lockdown. And so call it 3 months, more or less on the nose. And collections have been better than expected. I think there's select tenants at select properties that are really struggling, and we're working with them, and that's fine. But I think there's been this pleasantly surprised that people really value where they live, and there's a sense of pride in their home. People have been at home a lot more than usual in the last 3 months, and I think there's this sense of gratitude and pride to have a place or to have shelter, and people really want to pay their rent. So I think San Diego is a pretty prideful city. I think other parts of the country are struggling more, or frankly may have a lower kind of caliber of a person that may be a little bit lower on the consciousness scale. So people are paying their rent. What I've seen, I made reference to this in the last video, is utilities have gone way up. So on your properties, especially with rent control that we're dealing with now, I think it's important to kind of factor in billing the tenants for their utilities. If they're in a year lease, then you've got to wait for that lease to expire to make amendments. But trying to get some money coming back to you from utility expenses, water and sewer is the big one, is really smart. If you have a master meter building for SDG&E, that's another angle in carving out your gas and electric charges and getting the tenants to pay you back for estimated usage. So things are good. Now the financing arena has gotten to be a little bit more normal as well. Now if you look back in all the properties that have sold the last 3 months, there have been some sales, some modest sales, nothing too extreme, but I've seen assets that would have sold 6 months ago at probably 10% more than what they traded at the last few months. There was this really weird kind of short window where lenders were really backing off, and if a seller had to make a move, then there was a modest sale there. It wasn't like what we saw in 2010 or 2009 and 10, where it was really hard to get financing. You can get loans. You could get loans in the last 3 months. It was just you had to have a reserve bank account on the side with the bank typically, and then the loan to values were cut a little bit as well. So financing is coming back to normal, and that's really what drives our business, the sales business. And rates are like all-time lows. I mean, I've been saying this for a decade, but you can go get a new apartment loan at 3.75 maybe today, and those were down, close to 3% over the last 3-4 months. So very attractive financing. Fundamentals are really strong for San Diego, and it looks like people are going back to work. I know the unemployment number is really big, but when the PPP money runs out and the not necessarily PPP, I should say, the stimulus money that residents are getting. When that runs out, which it will, I feel like hopefully it's going to dovetail with people going back to work and starting to make money again. What I have seen is a lot of the young people or millennials on unemployment, with the bonus that they've been getting from the Fed, being kind of lazy, and really like, oh, I'm making more money now than I was, working at Starbucks the last year. And there is a sense of complacency and kind of laziness. So hopefully people will kind of go back to work. I've seen a number of people in my world that I talk to say, they're getting more back into the normal routine, etc. So I feel pretty positive about that, and I think multifamily's proven to be super resilient. So grateful. Talking a lot about with a couple people that I'm close with, I'm calling it relationship with change. So we're in this environment right now where there's a lot of change. There's the new rent control that we have January 1, call it 6 months ago, that now we deal with as a state. And then COVID, this pandemic and this virus, and the desire to have things more clean now, and different ways to show your units, and putting masks on, etc. A lot of things are changing. Some not so good, which we just talked about, and then there's some other positive things that are also happening, where the city is allowing, making it a lot easier to add units to your property, do ADUs, convert a laundry room into a studio, convert garages, etc. There's all these interesting things happening right now that frankly going to probably create a lot of opportunity over the next 5 to 10 years. Relationship with change is all about, like, I'm real into mindset and the psychology behind it, is how we approach life, and do we look at something glass half full or half empty, and what's our relationship with this changing environment. We can be reactive and angry, like a lot of owners communicate to me. They're frustrated and they're moving out of California, and they seem really upset about all this stuff going on, where my take is a little bit more, my relationship with this change is a little bit more think outside the box, take the blinders off. How can we turn this into a better situation? How can we take advantage of more opportunities? And I think it's all about being a creative landlord right now, and not being stuck to the way that you did things for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, whatever it may be. And, one example that I love about this is the whole pet topic with renters that have a cat or a dog. And a lot of people have just been no pets and this and that. And, everybody in the real estate arena has felt a little bit of a pinch here in the last 3 or 4 months, especially with COVID. And now if you need a way to boost the rent more, or to get back up to your rent roll, if you've had to take a little dip over the last 3 months, maybe be a little bit more open-minded to bringing on a tenant that has a dog or a cat, and charging, getting still a real strong market rent, or charging a pet rent on the side as an additional amount to kind of help you. So it's all about, what's the relationship with this change? Are we going to be reactive and pissed off about it? There are a lot of things to get emotional about, or it is what it is. And guess what? We're super lucky, and we should be very grateful to be in the multifamily business, especially in America's finest city. Every day I wake up, I feel so grateful to be able to help owners buy and sell, and then to have some modest units of myself to own, and to know that future is really bright. And there have been some bumps in the road, and there'll be some more coming forward. But how are we approaching that? What's the relationship? And what's the perspective here? Are we going to take advantage and think outside the box? Or are we going to be reactive and small-minded? And I think that doesn't breed any kind of success. But the first thing I mentioned about approaching things with an open mind and maybe taking on a new way to look at things will yield a lot better results. So I've got these shirts. I made a bunch of these pre-COVID. They came out in March. I think we got these like early March, and they're Apartment Geek shirts. I've passed out probably 60 of these to colleagues and friends and family, and I have 40 or 50 left, all sizes small to XL. So if anybody wants one, message me or email me or text or call, doesn't matter. And you can stop by the office, I can mail you one, or we can have a coffee or a beer and I can bring one for you. Just let me know your size. They're really cool, soft shirts, and it says Next Level on the back, which is symbolic of taking it all up to the next level, our thinking and our attitudes and life in general. So thank you for tuning in, and I'm happy to be back and on the train. So hope to connect with you soon, and have a great day.